To the elect of the nation of Israel, the elect of Yahushai, all praises and glory is due to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakar Kodash, who have given us this knowledge, this understanding, this truth, especially in the times that we're living in. And believe you me, these times are about to get worse, a whole lot worse, before it gets better. When is it going to get better? When Yahushua comes and destroys this society, destroys Esau's kingdom with a mighty destruction, and then sets up his kingdom on the planet Earth. And his kingdom, pursuant to 2 Peter 3 and 13, his kingdom is going to be a kingdom of righteousness. And by default, his kingdom is going to be the kingdom of Israel, which in reality is really the kingdom of Yahushua, but it's also known as the kingdom of Israel. And he's going to have King David sitting on the throne right beneath him. There's a scripture where it speaks about the order. To roughly paraphrase that scripture, it goes, and every man have his order. And the order starts with Yahushua and then King David all the way down. Okay, the rest of the 144,000.
But now is risen from the dead, that become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order, the first fruits, afterward they that are that is coming. Then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to God, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. For he hath put all things under his feet. But when he saith all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is accepted, which did put all things under him. And when all things shall be subdued unto him, then shall the Son also himself be subject unto him that put all things under him, that God may be all in all.
At 1446 Pacific Standard Time, 12 different locations across the globe were breached in what appears to have been a coordinated attack by an unknown enemy. All breaches were along the coastline in what is a campaign of rapid dominance.
All right, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, we would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua by Hashem Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations. Hopefully, out there pushing His word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures, to the faith in Yahweh by Shema Shai. All right, we're GMS Mississippi Camp coming with another lesson. All right, dealing with the former of all things. All right, dealing with the tribes, and you have the Mayan Empire. All right, dealing with Zebulon. All right, and the Mayans, also had a sprinkle of Issachar as well. Okay, but predominantly, Zebulon, which today, consists of, from Guatemala, all right, to the Panama, okay, in which, these things were even spoken about in prophecy, as people, speak against, the 12 tribes sign. Well, that tribe was derived in the spirit, High Priest Ariah, okay, was in the spirit was dealing heavy, when the spirit was on him to come up with that chart, and it's accurate when you go into it in the spirit, the beloved brother Elder Kazak, he always goes into it. He used to go into it a lot, but he has breakdowns on that whole chart, which are very informative. Okay, but just this is inspired going back to the devil, Matt Walsh, that was making this claim, as if the Europeans, those Edomite Europeans came over here to just a bunch of pure savages, undeveloped, civilizations, when that's just complete lie. Okay. So we're going to go into a few things just to show, all right, that this devil, he came to a functional civilization and wreak havoc. And we know it was a judgment of the Lord. All right. It's just a fact that the devil tries to lie as if he came, to an undeveloped, uncivilized, continent when he came over to the Americas, which is a complete lie. Okay. But you got it, bro.
Colin, this is the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 22. It says, "For there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad."
Yeah, so everything is coming abroad. All truth is coming to the light. Everything that this devil, because this devil, his kingdom is built on the foundation of lies and deception, false history, okay, false science, okay. Him, being, the the pinnacle of what civilization is, and it's just a complete lie. Okay, so we're gonna go into a few things. All right. Got a couple videos. One I just want to skim through, and the other one we're gonna let a good piece of it ride. Now let's go here. Okay. And just show you how the devil, loves to try to smear and slander Jake, as being nothing, but undeveloped savages, man, which is a lie.
Buried in the jungles of Central America, the pyramids of the ancient Maya sat abandoned for centuries. Now, evidence is painting a clearer picture of the sophisticated civilization that produced complex cities, art, and writing. From above,
you can tell the computer, get rid of all the jungle.
From below,
you can develop a climatic record for thousands and thousands of years.
From the bones,
it tells us when these individuals lived, what people ate.
And revealing a great Maya metropolis.
The 7th largest city in the world.
So it's a perfect planned city.
And yet, over 1,000 years ago, the Maya left most of these great cities. Why?
Right here.
We're called archaeology.
For more than 100 years, archaeologists have uncovered the cities of the Maya, learning about their language, culture, and society. A heritage that was deliberately suppressed, often violently, by Europeans.
Since the conquest, the Spanish, the glorious past of classic Maya civilization was a threat. And so in order to dispossess the Maya and to better control them, they created this narrative in which they claimed that the current Maya were savage people that had nothing to do with the great sophisticated people that built the great cities. And so that attitude has continued throughout the colonial period and up until the present, and has affected early explorers into the Maya lowlands. And over the years, we have created a narrative in which we have constantly and consistently underestimated the achievements of Maya civilization.
Goddamn evil.
Yeah, goddamn devil. So this devil, when these Europeans, right, Edomites start coming over, okay, they tried to disassociate the Mayan people that was there with the Mayans of old that built those great cities and metropolis, man. To justify what you call the law, the doctrine of discovery, which I pulled that up. You can say something, bro?
Come on, bro. Like we continue to see how this devil is, how Esau moves.
Mm-hmm.
Same way like we were going into yesterday with I think it was a brother priest of Mob, bringing it up. Like when it came to so-called Christopher Columbus, which is Esau too, coming into the Americas when it came to the tribe of Gad and the other tribe over here. He wanted to justify that again, like you're going in that spirit, going into that law of discovery. He wanted to justify why you know, they came over here and did all the bullshit and all the messed up things that they did. You know, they try to disassociate, you know, the people of the land with, you know, who they really are, and do the same thing that they do today is put this character on Jake and who they want Jake to be perceived as versus who the people really are. And again, that's to justify the bullshit that they want to do.
Mm-hmm. He wants to make everybody, you know, because see, Esau, he paint us, you know, as his natural self, the violent man, all right, the liar, all right, the rapist, you know, the degenerate. Well, that's Esau naturally, man. Okay, and the brother got this, which I thought about this as well. All right, you can read this one, bro.
Con, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 62 and verse 4. It says the only
consult.
Oh
yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. It's all good. Yeah.
They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they have cursed inwardly. Salah.
Yeah, and these devils, you know, they've always tried to downplay, you know, us as a people. Like the history of Jake, you know, even when you go into Europe, what do they call Europe? That time when Jake was ruling the Dark Ages. Oh, nothing was happening. How the fuck nothing was happening for 1,000 years? How did people survive if nothing was happening?
Nothing.
You know, you got all these populations of people just here. You know what I'm saying? Nigga not doing nothing. You know? But he put that lie, like when Jake was in rulership, oh well, nothing was happening. And which we went into that, you know, we'll get into that more, delve into the Dark Ages more. All right. With Jake, you know, it was off. It was, you know, on point in the spirit with Jake, you know, had civilization, thriving civilization. Okay. But then he plays this same role with the indigenous people, all right, the northern tribes, and tries to say that, you know, because I went in the museum the other day, you know, and they always have Gad, like they just be in these, you know, bikinis. You know what I'm saying? Just everybody just riding around
half naked.
Yeah, just enough clothing to cover their ride and ass crack.
Yeah, killing each other.
Yeah.
Nah, it's Esau.
You know, so nah, man, these were well, all right, ran civilizations, and they was decked out, man. When you really go into the ancient, you know, robes and attire, you know, some of those northern kingdom that was over here, all right, in the Americas, man, them people were decked out, man. But Esau loves to try to downplay as if, you know, he just came with all these inventions and he just created, you know, efficient civilizations and thriving agriculture and all these. Esau couldn't even survive over here, man. Esau, the Europeans couldn't come over here and land and survive without the help of the indigenous people, man. Because Esau, all right, didn't know how to, all right, cultivate the land. Okay, he wasn't ingenuitive like that. All right, the Mayans, we want to get into the Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs, and many other northern tribes. They were the engineers of the land. You know, not Esau, man. Yeah, something, bro.
Yeah, I want to make a point, bro, because you said that basically Esau, he likes to try to disguise himself as something that he's not.
Yep.
So out of curiosity, I looked up, you know, when Cain killed Abel, you know, the Lord put a mark on Cain, right?
Yep.
So when I went to Genesis 4:15 and looked up that word mark, and it was just on the spirit to do it then, bro. Genesis 4:15, when I looked up that word mark, it goes into disguise. When I looked at that word mark right here, it said disguising mark.
Yeah, distinguishing mark.
Distinguishing mark. But that's what, and it says warning. Basically, and it goes into what I got from it in the spirit was basically no matter what Esau does, it distinguishes him from who everybody else is. So even
his
though
character, his look. Because everybody got color except this nigga. You know what I'm saying? You got those, bro.
No matter what part of history you go to, like now we're talking about the Mayans. We was also talking about during the time of Gad. This is a little bit also no matter what time period you go to, you can always kind of draw a line to exactly, no matter how he tried to disguise himself. Like right now, he want to whitewash everything.
Yeah.
And paint the picture. You can always disguise who this devil is. There is no way that everybody else on the planet is the bad guy except for him.
Yeah, the nigga in power.
Hit the water, bro.
Come on, bro. So I just want to get this real quick. So you go into it, it said the doctrine of discovery is a legal and religious principle that was used to justify European colonization and the subjugation of indigenous peoples. It stemmed from the papal bulls in the 15th century, granting Christian monarchs authority to claim lands inhabited by non-Christians. Essentially, the doctrine asserted that Christian explorers could claim ownership of any land not already controlled by a Christian ruler. Okay, so the here it is. This man just comes in from Canada to the bottom of South America. Okay, he can stake claim to it based on the doctrine of discovery because there was no Christian rulers, and by that time, that form of Christianity was nothing but paganism. It had nothing to do with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, and the true doctrine, man. You know, you can say something, bro.
Come, bro, because people try to go into, Esau being blessed with the sword, like it's just a physical sword. This here is a form of Esau's sword. This paperwork, how this nigga can just fabricate any bullshit, bro, and just try to, the law of discovery. Nigga, nobody agreed to that but you.
Yeah.
But that's part of this nigga's blessing. So he can go and do stuff like that, but people still try to make an argument for Esau when no matter what part of history we go into, as we can see now, that law of discovery was just something that he used to take over lands and try to justify him pushing people out.
Yeah, like you said, bro, the devil, if he can put you in the category, he can make a law for it.
Con.
If he can categorize you, all right, if he can say you're domestic terrorism, if he can say you're a threat to national security. Like I watch a lot of movies now, and when a lot of that's the nigga get out of jail free card is that you're a threat to national security,
bro.
And with that gives him full access to the Pentagon resources, whatever military means. If it's a threat to national security, and this is what this devil loves to push, threat to national security, man. So you go here to the papal bulls. It says the doctrine emerged from the papal bulls, decrees issued by Pope like Pope Nicholas the Fifth, doomed the virus, 1452, and it says these documents legitimize colonization by providing a religious and legal basis for European powers to claim land and resources in non-Christian territories. Now, listen to this: terra nullius, all right, with this Latin, and it says a core concept was that lands not occupied by Christians were considered terra nullius, which is Latin for no one's land. So how you got a whole land where you got people got metropolis cities, but you said they are no one's land. It says meaning they were available for European powers to take control of. You can say something, bro?
Cause like you said, how is this a no man land? You got an entire civilization here. You got entire people who have their own laws, who has, and our tribe was going off to some aspect back in the day. But we're talking about the fact of the picture that Esau tries to put out there, like you said, we were running around half naked, killing people and raping. No, that's what this nigga was doing.
Eating each other.
Yeah, that's what this like. If you look up, Esau was the caveman. What do cavemen wear? They half naked with just to cover that they ride and their ass crack, and they doing all, and they the ones who don't have any type of written language or anything like that.
Yeah, they didn't have when you go into because we'll get there in the book of Job. After we get this, and then we go to the next video, and it's gonna go into it. What you got, bro?
But I was just adding, bro. I was just adding to what you were saying earlier. That kind of hit. Like going again, like we can't harp on enough that the fact that this devil, exactly who he is and his whole makeup, he wants to put that on every single person that may be standing in the way of some of what he want to do. And it just didn't stop with Gad. It didn't stop with the mind. Like even now, to this day, he wants to put that image on the ministry. When brothers like, if like we was going into yesterday, if you want to make it illegal for brothers to stand out and preach, well, make it illegal for them YN to stand out there, period.
Yeah.
But the point is, he wants to put that image on everything that comes against what he wants to do.
He could with the accuser of thy brethren. If he can put you in the category, so now he's gonna lump up all the black Hebrew Israelites as a category. That means ISUPK, IUIC, HOI, any alphabet Israelite group, anybody out there pushing videos, anybody liking videos, he's gonna lump their whole thing up under the banner of black Hebrew Israelites, and that's gonna be a threat to national security.
He'll turn right with them niggas on that 501c3, which we know.
Yep.
And he'll pay them to go out and do this shit,
yep.
knowing that he already got in play what he trying to do.
Yeah, he's still gonna bust them niggas up. But that's something we get into because we're in them times. All right. It says the doctrine provides a framework for European powers to justify their action during colonizations, including the seizure of land, subjugation of indigenous populations, and the spread of Christianity, man. And this is why we tell you dumb, stupid niggas, the Christianity that you believe in, is a Christianity of oppression, man. Okay? It's a false doctrine of oppression and Edomite supremacy. All right? And that's why you Christians, you only care about the well-being of Edomites. Christians don't never ask about, can the Africans be saved? Can the Chinese be saved? You're only worried about one nation of people because that's the nation of people that was beating your ass, making you accept that doctrine, man. Okay? So let's go here.
And no matter how many people, like Jake was said that they believe in the Bible or the scriptures, but really you don't. You believe in what sounds good to you.
You believe in Esau.
No matter how much the scripture tells you, Esau ass finna get his ass beat and he going into slavery. Soon as you tell a nigga that, you lose him because you don't want to forgive the white man. Now, all of a sudden, here it is. This nigga been beating ass for the past 400 years. Just throwing out a random number, but it's been a minute. Now, all of a sudden, like, we're the ones who has a hate doctrine.
Yeah, we tripping. We doing too much. But just bringing up what this nigga do. It's the book of Job. Matter of fact, read that.
Read verse 1.
Yeah.
This is the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in desertion. Derision.
Yep, the laughing stock. Because now we the laughing stock of these niggas in there, the goddamn basement. Go ahead.
It says, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Yeah, so Esau was a vile man. So Job was like, I wouldn't even set these niggas by the dogs, man, because we know how Esau get out. Okay, he defiles every goddamn thing. You got, bro.
Verse 2. You good, bro. It says, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolated and waste.
Yeah, and this is what they call the dark ages, when this devil, was ran out of power. All right, the Western, Roman Empire had fully failed, and these devils was pushed out of the way. They was isolated. Another word for solitary. They was isolated to the region of the Caucasus Mountains. Over there, in West Russia. All right. What would be the west of USSR, the former USSR, Georgia, down there in Ukraine, okay? We had the Khazarians, okay? So those devils were isolated, from the ruling nations, which you had Jake, you had Moab with the Mongolian Empire, which really Genghis Khan, the head of that was Jake. And then you had, was the founder of the Mongolian Empire. But then you had, Elam, they had empires, under the Parthians, and you had Ishmael with them caliphates. But Esau was isolated and pushed off. He would be used like the way Esau used these other nations for proxies. That's how they was using his ass. Like, that's how we were using him for proxy to go put boots on the ground, so we could spare our men, so other nations can spare their men. You see?
Yep.
So he was a do-boy back in them times, man. All right, he didn't have no true empire in the earth. All right, you got it, bro.
Verse 4. It says, who cut up mallows by the bushes, and Jupiter roots for their meat.
Yep, what you call marshmallows. Jupiter roots. Okay, because the devil, he was living, in the brushes, man. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 5, it says they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief.
Yeah, because this nigga was vile, man. You know? This man was driven away because this man's a very vile man in his natural state. See, the Lord got this devil propped up. The Lord put a suit on this nigga, shaved this nigga up, gave this nigga some hair gel, okay, and a lab coat. You see? And put this nigga in charge of the earth, man. Okay, it's like someone with a ghostwriter and a stylist. That's Esau. Okay, and why when the Lord script, the covering off this nigga, it's gonna be like, is this the man?
Bro,
you got it, bro.
Even then, like with how the Lord got this nigga set up now, his who he is still kind of come out. You see this nigga fucking with animals and shit. Like who he is still tend to come out. Like when brother be out, like I always say, that nigga just weird, bro. Like he just weird as fuck. But
like that movie, I remember that show Jackass.
It was made just for him, bro. Like it's just who this nigga is always gonna show, bro. No matter what he got on, like the why how about shoot my shot for, like he got this devil set up, but then again he still allowed this devil to do certain things to still pinpoint to exactly who he is.
Come, you catch that guy, bro. Yeah, you go out there. Yeah, just step out, I got it. Yo, so I'm gonna read on. It says, among the bushes they braid, under the nettles they will gather together. So you go here, all right. Let's get this word braid, because like the brother said, these devils couldn't even form sentences, man. Oh, let me find. Oh, here you go, braid. Oh, so lucky. Yeah, so you go into the word braid in the Hebrew, which is nahak. All right, nahak in the Hebrew, it says to bray. All right, to cry out. All right. So these devils didn't even have language, man. They said to bray as an ass is a donkey. So they said these devils used to bray. All right. These devils didn't, and here it is. They love to talk about how they civilize everything. No, prophecy raised you devils in power, man. And prophecy is gonna bring you niggas back down. You read verse 8.
Gun. This is Job 30:8. It says they were children of fools, children of base men. They were viler than the earth.
Yeah, viler than the earth. Children of fools was empty-headed, base men, all right, degenerates, and they were viler, which is lewd, all right, than the earth. And you see, like I said, you can tell who's in power by how, the scriptures say, so is the judge, so is the people. So the society reflects the type of ruler. So Esau is able to enchant people like he's this guy's gift to humanity. But then you look at the earth society, and this man is a complete terror and a nightmare to humanity, man.
God.
So I'm gonna go and get this video too. You gotta go. You get this video. Get about 2 more. Yeah, okay. All right, so we go here. It's gonna go to more of the certain feats. It's gonna go more into depth of the Mayan culture. So we're gonna get it started and we'll chime in as needed.
A rich and complex. Between 200 and 900 CE, the Maya people were one of many civilizations that thrived in Mesoamerica before the arrival of European colonizers. A rich and complex culture centered in the Yucatan Peninsula, the Maya are remembered for their towering pyramids, intricate calendars, and written language. But there's a lot more to this ancient civilization than you may have known. Today, we're looking at some unique facts about the ancient Maya. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel. After that, we'd be much obliged if you'd leave a comment letting us know which other ancient civilizations you would like to hear about next. Okay, let's get exploring. The Maya civilization was nestled in Central America's most geographically diverse region, the Yucatan Peninsula. where modern-day Guatemala and Belize are located, in addition to parts of Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador. The geographic diversity provided the Maya a ton of resources that ultimately shaped their culture, such as limestone, jade, and rubber. Their position in the center of Central America meant they had access to trade across the region. So, the Maya traded everything from food like maize and cacao to more exotic materials like obsidian. If you're a fan of ancient architecture, or pseudoscientific cable TV shows about ancient aliens, you're probably already well versed in the Maya's amazing ancient buildings. Maya pyramids are an architectural phenomenon. They relied on intricately carved stone to create their iconic stair steps. These pyramids served different functions depending on the region. In addition to their pyramids, Maya engineers also constructed bridges, arches, and pressurized water systems. The great city of El Mirador, where 200,000 Maya once resided, was a prime example of their engineering expertise. And just like other cultures, the Maya constructed nearly everything with locally sourced materials. This meant limestone, sandstone, and cinnabar to handle everything from basic construction to painting. Before the Maya arrived, the Olmecs were living it up in modern-day Veracruz and Tabasco. The Olmecs were a fascinating culture, and similar to the later Aztecs and Maya, they had some seriously impressive stonework, including pyramids and those colossal heads. They really tie the room together. So what's the connection between the Olmecs and the Maya? Did the Maya descend from the Olmecs, or did they just happen to live in the same area? The same way you probably aren't related to the people who lived in your apartment previously. The answer is, nobody knows for sure. As author John Noble Wilford of the New York Times notes, archaeologists have split sharply over how much influence the Olmecs had on contemporary and subsequent Mesoamerican cultures. Were Olmecs the mother culture, or were they one among sister cultures whose interactions through the region produced shared attributes of religion, art, political structure, and hierarchical society? Much of the Olmec society and history is shrouded in mystery, and the world may never know their relationship, if any, to the Maya. Instead of the traditional 12-month calendar, the Maya used a few different calendars to track all the unique aspects of their lives. Meanwhile, the rest of us typically only use more than one calendar when we can't decide between Harry Potter or Garfield. The Maya used one calendar for a 365-day year, and another as a 260-day religious calendar. The 365-day calendar, the Hab, consisted of 18 months of 20 days each, and 1 month, Uaeb, only lasts 5 days. Take that, February. The religious calendar is called the Tzolk'in, consisting of 20 13-day periods. The two calendars progressed together in 52-year cycles, and plenty of significant events coincided between the two. And if that is not confusing enough, the Maya had a third calendar. This calendar, known as the Long Count Calendar, tracked, longer periods of time. Those cycles are about 2,880,000 days long, or approximately 7,885 solar years. That's a pretty thick calendar. You probably couldn't hang that up without losing your security deposit. The Long Count Calendar is where the doomsday theory that the world was going to end in the year 2012 came from. But, as it turned out, all that really happened was a John Cusack movie. Plus, the Maya didn't really subscribe to those predictions. 2012 was just a year when many of their calendars reset, like a new century in the Gregorian calendar.
And I'm gonna say this, about that 2012, in which in 2012, that's just when all those three Mayan calendars reset. They didn't push, that the world was going to end. There was a narrative, that was pretty much taken up in Hollywood and ran with. Okay, but it's the spirit, because when they was talking about that Operation Looking Glass, they said it was always around 2012 to where things started to go the way that they didn't want it to go. And you got to think about it. It was something that happened in 2012 that they couldn't stop from happening. And it was an explosion of what? Camps. Because they started coming, the apostles and the elders started coming on YouTube 2007. And then what did you have? All these camps, began to spring forth during that time. So it was something heavy in the spirit, during that era, but at the end of the day, all right, even though Jake be off, they still be tapped in to a degree. How about Shema Shai? They don't have the knowledge, but they be tapped in to a degree, especially if they in a more pure form. They ain't messed up with GMOs and the enchantments of Esau and frequencies. They more in the nature. But they were just in tune with them numbers, man.
Because if you look at, like you said, when you're in the spirit, you can see it in the spirit. But when you're in the flesh, you kind of just looking at it like an exact date. And Esau continue like it's my with the April 25th shit.
Yeah.
Esau throw don't take them dates with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, something happened in the spirit around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like something may happen in the spirit around the time coming up. We don't know, but when you look at it in the spirit, when you start looking at shit in the flesh, these exact dates, Esau throw that shit out there because if you weaken the spirit, every time he throw you a date at you, you start planning everything around that date, start getting your hopes up in that date, and then when shit don't happen, that's an attack on your spirit. Like you said, this man
is
a
serpent. Now you don't believe nothing.
Because this man is a serpent, bro.
You don't believe nothing, man.
Taxes was feeling.
Math is a universal language and a big part of nearly every civilization in human history. That's why we put a bunch of math on that gold disc we sent into space. In case the aliens are nerds. But math actually evolves. Although most societies use base 10 systems now, base 10 originated with Indian and Arab cultures and spread as merchants traded their wares worldwide. The Maya, on the other hand, used a base 20 system, revolving around 3 symbols. They'd arrange the symbols in different ways to represent numerical values. Entwined with their complex calendars, the number system helped them create engineering marvels, build elaborate structures, and inform the design of massive parts of their entire civilization. Additionally, the Maya system had something many cultures didn't, the concept of zero as a number. But it wasn't all math. The Maya also had what's considered to be one of the most sophisticated writing systems in all of pre-Columbian Mesoamerica. As a literate society, they used a language composed of pictorial glyphs to represent different words or speech patterns. Think of it like Egyptian hieroglyphics, or ancient emojis, if that helps you. Scholars are now able to interpret around 75% of Maya writing, which is good because the Maya were extremely prolific writers. They chronicled a great deal of their world using a variety of materials like ceramic and stone. However, Spanish colonizers burned many Maya records, and only some survive today. Made from bark, the records, or codices, are a window into pre-Columbian Maya life, circa the 1100s. The Dresden Codex contains a font of astronomy knowledge. The Paris Codex discusses religious rituals, while the Madrid Codex covers farming and hunting. But that's not all. There's another codex, the Maya Codex, which is a religious text stored in Mexico City. Yeah, Nicolas Cage is going to steal one of those things in the next National Treasure movie. The question is, which one? Approximately 6 million people still speak Mayan languages today. But like any language, it has changed over time. For example, take contemporary English, the kind we're speaking right now. It sounds nothing like 10th century Old English. Seriously, you might as well not even bother getting out of your time machine. Similarly, Maya languages have developed and changed over thousands of years. Each dialect became its own distinct language. There are approximately 30 languages in this group, including Tzotzil, Yucatec, and Quiche.
And that's pretty much the gist, of that video, just to show you, how the Mayans were known to be, exceptional engineers and record keeping. Which when you go into our culture, especially with the Levites, all right, our people specialize in being scribes. All right. Now you go into the AI overview, it says scribes in ancient Israel were a specialized class of individuals who were skilled in writing, literacy, and knowledge of the law. They played a crucial role in preserving and transmitting knowledge, particularly the oral traditions and eventually the written form of the Hebrew Bible. Scribes also served as legal experts, drafting documents and interpreting the law. All right. So even though, all right, the Zebulon wasn't of the Levites, who that's where the scribes originated from. It was our people, as a whole, that was a part of our custom to keep records. Even when you had to, prove that you was an Israelite, well, it was because it was records. That's why you go into the Bible, you get those lists of names of the father who this person begot this person begot this person, because our people are known for record keeping. All right, there's a lot of history that's in the Bible that's found nowhere else. As you study history, I know the short time I've been studying history, man, there's a lot of documents about certain characters that are only found in the Bible. Okay, because you look at the Bible, it's Jake scribing down, not only the law and the interpretation of different things, but also world events that affected Israel. So the Bible and the scribes through the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, the Lord put the Spirit on the scribes, to be very detailed, in how they wrote, particular histories, man. You gonna say something, bro?
No, bro. You got it.
Come on. So yeah, we'll get a couple precepts. All right. We just wanted to go into that again. All right. We'll just keep going. Every week on Ratazah, a different topic. To show, okay, that there was civilization here. All right. There was a damn lie. All right. The best engineers, the best, governors and administrators, okay, will be of Jake. Even like I say, even though Jake was going off, all right, Jake still, ran the civilization.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can say something?
Nah, bro.
Okay,
I
cool.
was reading precepts.
And this is why you see the Lord putting us together now. Which the brother, matter of fact, I think the brother put it up.
Was it
Psalms 50.
62? Yeah, Psalms 50, 19 and 20.
Yeah, I'm gonna read 21 too, but we'll end it there.
Come.
All right.
50, 19, and 20.
That was a lot. All right, Psalms 50. Yeah.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 50, starting at verse 19. It said, "Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue flameth deceit."
Yeah, because Esau's tongue, his mouth, which is through his meeting, where his tongue is, projected throughout the earth, it framed with deceit. And people's perception of who he is, people's perception of who everyone else is all skewed, because the devil is a liar, man. It's all based on deception. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 20, it says, "Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son."
Yeah, and every chance the devil get, it's all about, destroying and slandering Jake. As if we've always been slaves, we've always been inferior. Okay, we've always been, dumb, just brute beast, Go ahead.
Verse 221, "These things hast thou done, I have kept silence."
Yeah, so the Lord allowed this to happen. The devil to just prosper in his wickedness, to be able to exalt himself, as this great nigga in the earth, but can constantly, project us, as being subhuman. And the Lord allowed this because this was our punishment. Okay. But one thing about Esau, he takes everything too far. Okay, go ahead.
"Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes."
So this is what we seeing happening now. The Lord is setting, all right, Israel in order before his eyes, all 12 tribes. Okay. So at the end of the day, devil lose again. All right. Just like Esau lost a blessing with Jacob. You devils finna lose, all right, your blessing this time, man. Okay. All right. So the Lord got you in the trick bag. And at the end of the day, we're not gonna have to go into history to show how great we are. No, we're gonna be great real time forever, man. So that was the point. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Once again, we give all praise and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations, hopefully, shalom.
Shalom.
So,